Hi everyone, I'm Ryan, this is my garage. Welcome back to a new video in a new year. So happy new year to you all. I've had a great week. It's been Christmas clearly, and so I took some time out the garage. A good friend of mine brought my Honda CRF up to my house from where it's stored long term, and we had a day out on the Salisbury Plains. So that was fantastic to get back out off-road again after a while of not doing that. So with that, new year, back in the garage, back on the Honda Superdream. I'm going to try and make some progress at 3 areas. So the tank needs repainting. I'm going to start stripping and preparing that. The seat needs a complete rebuild. I'm going to start looking to see what I can do with that. And the brakes. So last episode I decided that my calipers were beyond hope. However, there's been some progress on that, so I think we might have just redeemed it. So this was the caliper, which last week the 2 pins were firmly wedged in here, and I'd managed to cause some damage to the caliper both there and there, below where the pins were located. This is now what remains of the bit of pin that came out. I mean, it was completely shot. But I think it's redeemable, because if I get some replacement pins and obviously rebuild the calipers, but those now will still go back in there. The right hand side's okay, left hand side still goes in fine, and I think it's held firmly. So I might just have to just a little bit of a repair below, but largely for cosmetic reasons. That doesn't interfere with the operation in any way, and I don't think the pin can pull out. So these need a good clean up, they need stripping. I've got to get the piston out, but I think I can in fact still continue to use this. So let's move forward. So back to my tank. I'm going to get that off, and I'm going to start trying to strip it back to bare metal. It's clearly busting up just about all over. I don't think it's bad. I'm confident it's perfectly usable and savable. It's going to take some effort, potentially unlike my seat. So this is my seat as it stands. I mean, the cover is shot, don't care about that, they're easily sourced. But if I turn it over so we can see the underside, you will see that this is pretty damn far gone. It looks, I'm not sure it's got a lot of structure to it. I think the central part of it is potentially savable. The edges, I mean, they're frankly gone. In fact, that corner's not too bad, but look at this one. I mean, it's just not even here. So I'm going to try and strip this down to just bare sheet of metal. I'm going to then take a look at it, and if there's any way in which this can be cleaned up, preserved, and then strengthened or repaired. Now, I don't have welding skills, but I don't know, maybe I can do something with fiberglass? Not sure. Either way, I'm going to try and get it back to nothing and then see what I'm left. Okay, let's try and kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I've got knackered old fuel in the tank that I need to sort out and get rid of, and I've got brake components that need a clean. So I'm going to put the old fuel in a container and use that to clean the brakes up. Should work. That is proper yellow. Looks like the first pea of the morning. Okay, so that's the brake bits cleaned up. They're no longer greasy. I think they might even polish up acceptably. Anyway, so that's a starting point. I do need to try and get that piston out of there. Probably, I don't have any compressed air, so I'll probably just have to use the brake lever and just pop that out. Well, I'm going to start trying to remove the paint from the tank. I'm going to give it a first go with this paint and varnish remover. I was advised not to use the stuff that's commonly available from DIY stores, but honestly it's what I've got available now. So I'm going to give it a try. If it doesn't work, I'll try something else. If it works, I'm done. Well, I've been out here some time now trying to bleed this front brake so that it will push the caliper out, and I don't know, it sometimes seems to be working properly and then other times not, so maybe there's some rubbish in the lever. I'm struggling, so I can't get it to bleed up properly. As to the petrol tank, so I put paint stripper on this tank and I've left it a period of time, and honestly I don't think it's doing anything. So I've done one side of the tank as a test, and yeah, not sure that's much happening at all. So I might put another coat on it, leave it overnight, but I think that's not working. Well, in preparation of taking the seat apart, I'm just trying to spray all of the bolts and just leave them to soak overnight, because if there's any chance of this thing coming apart and going back together, it's going to need a bit of luck. So let's leave that for a day or so. So I've given the paint stripper longer to work, and it is working. So I've only done the left hand side of the tank, and we can see that the paint is all bubbling up, and there we go. So that is now working. So let's do more, and let's do both sides, because that was a test. I wasn't sure it was going to work, but it clearly is. So let's carry on. Okay, so I'm now working on the master cylinder to try and understand, because it doesn't seem to be pumping quite as well as I would expect it to. And this assembly somehow must come out, but it talks about a circlip and I can't see any circlip, so I'm going to have to research online to try and work out how to get that, because that seems firmly stuck and there must be something that you got to remove, but I'm struggling to locate it. Maybe it's just corroded. Okay, let's carry on. That was a pig to get out, right down in the base of that, and it's corroded with the end broken off, but it's out. I've made the decision to bite the bullet and just replace the front brake master cylinder, because yeah, this is going to look better, it's going to work better, and it's not expensive. So I've put one of these on order. Okay, so whilst the paint stripper is working, I'm moving on from the brakes for a minute, and I'm going to try and strip this seat and try and retain as much as everything as I possibly can to see if it's savable. So let me get started, see what I can achieve. Well, for the first time in a long time, everything worked well. So all the bolts that I had coated in oil yesterday, they've all just come undone and they're all free. So everything that can be unbolted has now been unbolted. So I'm going to try strip the top cover off now, and let's see what we're left with. Okay, well, under the cover that I've removed, the foam, I'm not going to try to use it, but it's actually not too bad condition. It's still complete, it's still in shape. The underside of it is covered in rust, basically, but has just lifted off of the base. So I'm going to take a careful look at this. And interestingly, some of it still seems okay, but I don't know, it might still be solid enough in the middle, but then the edges are going to need some work to repair them. Okay, let's try and get these handles off now, because they seem to be quite corroded on. Let's see what we're left with. So I've taken the base apart, and I'm thinking, whilst it's probably beyond what I'm capable of, I'm going to try and retain this. So I think most of the structure is at least half solid. I mean, there's obvious bits where it's giving way, but the shape, the complex shape is there, and the bits that are missing are on the edge here, which are not the most difficult bit. So I don't have the metal skills to fix this, but I'm thinking if I clean it up, stabilise it with some rust preserver, paint it to try and prevent it from deteriorating rapidly any further, and then build the edges up with some fiberglass. Would that be good enough to create a working seat? I think so. I don't think it's going to fall apart, and I think if I now reinforce the centre of this with some fiberglass as well, because on the top is not critical, as long as I keep the basic shapes, the foam will go back on it. I think I can do something with this. I'm going to try. This is probably the most ambitious bit so far of the job, but I'm going to try and keep this seat. Right, let's try the old wire brush. Start cleaning her up. Okay, so that's the first pass at getting everything that's loose off the seat, and no extra surprises. So I mean, some parts of it's alright, some parts of it quite rusty, but there's still some metal there. And the underside, it's again, it's predominantly got its shape, and I think that's the biggest challenge. So let me continue, try and stabilise this so it doesn't get any worse. So I think for that I'm going to use something like this rust remover. Coat some of that on it. Okay, so that's now all coated up, and I'm going to leave it for a while just for it to dissolve the worst. Then I clean it off with water, and then we'll begin to think about putting something on it that will stop it rusting in the future. But for now, that will just clean up the worst of what's there. Second pass on the paint stripper. Okay. Bit more required. Definite progress being made. Okay, and that's how the seat has cleaned up. So I think there's certainly enough metal in that to make it worthwhile trying to save. So that's where I'm going to finish off this week. Tank's mostly stripped, still got some paint stripper on it cleaning off the last bits, and then it needs a damn good clean. The seat, it's an estate whereby it's as cleaned up as I can get it. I think I'm going to now treat it all with some cure rust, which should stabilise it, and then we'll move towards putting some paint on it. Thank you very much. Limited amount of time this week, but normal service will resume. So thank you very much. Please like, subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you again soon. Thank you.